Although it's perfect convertible weather here in Munich, we're testing the coupe variant of the 6 Series. BMW launched the open top version not long ago. Now, in its 3rd generation, the new model is the Bavarian carmaker's most recent attempt at creating the perfect dream car. We drove the 640i, which comes equipped with a 235 kilowatt inline 6-cylinder engine. It's elegant, luxurious, and sporty. In short, everything a coupe should be. Minor alterations up front distinguish the 640i from its forebears. They work well optically with the enlarged track width. The wheelbase is now 2.85 meters, 7.5 centimeters longer. The biggest changes have taken place at the back. The L-shaped taillights are designed to reflect BMW's branding strategy. The basic concept for the car, however, has remained largely the same. The 640i's long hood, short front overhang, and cockpit, placed well to the rear, give it the typical BMW coupe proportions. In keeping with the evolution of BMW body shape overall, the new 6 Series model is longer, wider, and flatter. The 640i can hurtle from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 5.4 seconds. Impressive numbers for a car weighing more than 1,600 kilograms. It's also more resistant to torsion than its predecessor, which becomes clear when you really put your foot down. At high speeds, the coupe hugs the road well. The BMW's headlights set new standards. The 6 Series Coupe is the first model in the segment with adaptive swiveling LED headlights that shine around corners as you turn, whether the low or high beams are on. Fog lights and tail lights are also made with LED technology. And BMW's engineers didn't sacrifice comfort for speed. The series standard 8-gear automatic shifts quietly, almost unnoticeably. Company Vice President Frank Ochmann says that in the interior, the new coupe offers a new interpretation of driver orientation. BMW emphasized driver orientation, and the freestanding display contributes to that concept. It allowed the engineers to design a flatter instrument panel, he says, which gives the driver the feeling of really sitting in the car, as though he and the car have been molded together. The 640i tops out at maximum 450 Newton-meters of torque. BMW claims that, driven according to EU standards, it burns just 7.6 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers on average. Twice that is probably a more realistic expectation. The carmaker's twin-power turbo technology charges the engine. Ochmann says that in designing the drivetrain, BMW made sure that the customer also has the option to drive very dynamically, but also economically with a new Eco Pro mode, which can save up to 20% on fuel. The driver can make adjustments with a driving experience switch, which allows a range of choices between sporty and economical driving experiences. These are all changes that are new to the car, says Ochmann, but you might already be familiar with them from the 7 Series. Here, they've been transferred and developed even further. The steering is direct, which is a big plus on the meandering roads in the countryside around Munich. The driving experience switch allows a choice between different operational modes. There's Comfort, Sport, and Eco Pro, something for everyone. The base price for the 640i Coupe in Germany is just under 75,000 euros. The top-of-the-range model, a 650i with a 300 kilowatt engine, will also be available with four-wheel drive beginning this fall. Brand usually plays a major role when it comes to buying a car, but not necessarily when it comes to buying an SUV, where customers often expect a lot of vehicle at a reasonable price. That's why Opel is bringing the facelifted Antara from Korea to Germany. The new version is supposedly better than its predecessor, but can it really fight off other Asian competition? Mitsubishi's Outlander is a rival, as is Mazda's CX-7. Both are serious challengers for Opel's SUV with Asian roots. Opel's engineers have made the Antara more attractive, but the changes stop there. There are still no nice perks like start-stop technology or a modern infotainment system, and the dashboard doesn't come from the carmaker's luxury Insignia model either, but from the old Vectra C. The model was given a new motor. The 2.2-liter diesel engine provides 135 kilowatts of power. That makes it the most potent of the three SUVs we've looked at. Our Antara accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 9.6 seconds. Our car tester says you can't see many changes to the body, but that Opel did accomplish a thing or two under the hood. The suspension is also tighter because the designers wanted it to be sportier than the old Antara. Unfortunately, they only had limited success because they forgot to adjust the steering to fit the new suspension. Dennis also thinks the skirts are too low to really take the Antara off-roading, but he likes the fact that it is so quiet inside, as well as the interior fittings. In terms of price, the Opel is average for the segment. One drawback when it comes to the extras: a built-in satellite navigation system will set you back 1,800 euros. On to the Mitsubishi. It costs just under 40,000 euros in Germany, making it the most expensive of the three. But you get a lot for the money. Air conditioning and navigation system are fitted as standard, as are 7 seats. They make the trunk smaller than in the other two models, but if you lower the rear seats, the Mitsubishi has space for 1,700 liters of cargo, more than either of its rivals. The motor is also a 2.2-liter diesel, though it doesn't manage to convert it into as much power as the Opel. Its 130 kilowatts accelerate the Outlander from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 9.8 seconds, and it easily reaches the claimed top speed of 200 kilometers an hour. Dennis says that the Outlander really is an Outlander, that you can take it off-roading. It has the most clearance between the skirts and ground and has a powerful diesel under the hood, though it takes time to get up to speed, and the turbocharger has some problems, including a whistling noise that takes some getting used to. If you choose it, he says, you're getting a family SUV. It has by far the most space and is the only one of the models tested that has an optional third row of seats. So the Outlander spoils you with space and also takes the laurels as far as respectable SUV styling is concerned. The Mazda CX-7 doesn't actually have all that much in common with a real off-roader. It can cope with slightly rougher surfaces, but it's definitely most at home on asphalt. It's aimed at drivers who like the higher seating position of an SUV, but don't really want to get it too dirty. The Mazda's strengths are the lively gearbox, its sporty road holding, and its direct steering. In spite of that, it brought the least powerful engine to the starting line in our test. Even if it only packs 127 kilowatts, the CX-7 was also able to hit 200 kilometers an hour without a problem, but it burns more fuel than its competitors. The Mazda came in last in terms of consumption. Dennis says the sloping A-pillar looks sporty, but also obstructs your field of vision. And in terms of space, the Mazda is also the weakest candidate. But it has a tight transmission, precise steering, and a peppy diesel motor. It's not always the most convincing SUV in the test, he thinks, but it's the most fun to drive, at least on the road. The CX-7 costs around 36,500 euros in Germany, and it supposedly retains its value quite well compared to other cars in the class. Three SUVs, three different concepts. The Mitsubishi is clearly aimed at larger families. If you need plenty of space for any occasion, then the best bet is the Outlander. That wasn't sufficient for first place in our test, though. The motor just wasn't convincing enough to take the gold. The Opel Antara tries to please both the family and the driver. Unfortunately, the German car maker didn't really succeed. Its compromise is more like a stiffer version of GM's comfortable Chevrolet Captiva, with a new motor and the Opel logo slapped on the front. In our test, the Mazda CX-7 was the clear favorite because it was so much fun to drive. And it proves that when it comes to modern SUVs, you can even have a good time on the asphalt. The VW Beetle is back, again. In October, Volkswagen is launching the next generation of the Colt automobile in Germany. Of course, it's still meant to be an emotional car, even if the body design has changed a bit. The new Beetle is longer, flatter, and wider. The stretched hood is a real eye-catcher. The model will hit dealerships in Asia next February, and by the end of 2012, it will also be available in South America. BMW's latest 5-door model is the first launch in the next generation of its 1 Series. Still the only model in its class with rear-wheel drive, the new small family car has become both sportier and more efficient. It also allows for more individualization, with new design lines that give customers the chance to customize their car's package and look. In addition, all of the series gasoline and diesel motors now come equipped with BMW's twin-power turbo technology. This car completes the same maneuver over and over again here on Mercedes' test track. And it does it flawlessly, every single time. But hold on, there's no one behind the wheel. That's right, it's a driverless car. And with it, Mercedes wants to reinvent motoring.
Bharat Balasubramanian from Daimler says the goal is to accurately recreate dangerous situations so that he can test how the system reacts.
He says there are 3 requirements. The first is precision, and whether the car can repeat the same maneuver over and over again. The second is timing, in cases when several vehicles are involved in the scenario. He says the third is very important, and that's the safety of the driver. There's no driver in this car. It's steered by a robot. The cars in question are standard production models, but what's special about them is that robots control the steering, acceleration, and the braking. The car's onboard computer tells it to drive between 2 predetermined points. It'll follow these instructions, even if it encounters several vehicles along the way.
Ralf Guido Hedwig from Daimler says 2 things are needed. The car out on the test track has to be equipped with robots to automatically steer, accelerate, and brake. He says there also has to be a control room which programs the car. A radio link between the control room and the car monitors the test. Engineers in the control room monitor the parameters and can abort the test at any time if necessary. The basic technology can be fitted to any Mercedes, turning it into a driverless car. That way the engineers can test different systems on different cars. As if by magic, the car avoids the obstacles. They're placed on the test track to help simulate real-life scenarios that a motorist may encounter on the road.
Hedwig says the cars can drive so accurately that if they go around the test track twice, there will only be a difference of 2 to 3 centimeters between the 2 runs. There's no other way to recreate a dangerous scenario like this. The same is true for situations in which a car suddenly cuts in, brakes, or swerves in front of another. Because the automatic driving system only intervenes in dangerous situations,
these dangerous situations first have to be simulated. The system represents a giant leap forward in safety, especially for the test drivers who no longer have to risk life or limb. Hartwig says he can test scenarios which are too dangerous for a real test driver. For example, jumping from a ramp or driving into a curb. If a real driver was behind the wheel, it would put a great strain on the body. But Hartwig does it with a computer. Technology testing technology. Mercedes has always been at the forefront of car safety, and its latest innovation should help it stay well ahead of the competition. Classic car rallies attract hundreds of enthusiasts from around the world. One of the most famous, the Silveretta Classic, got underway on May 14th in the town of Montafon in Austria. It's been going for 14 years, but hasn't lost any of its appeal. Before the drivers start their engines, there's just enough time to talk strategy. And they're off. It's a staggered start, so the cars set off one after another at timed intervals. Each participant gets a quick prep talk from the marshals with some insider tips and advice. A Ford RS200 takes its place on the starting line, followed by a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL and an Audi 100 Coupe S bringing up the rear. While they wait for the order to start, others are already winding through the Alpine roads. Anyone who owns a classic car and can pay the starting fee is welcome to take part. This year, 350 people applied, but they were whittled down to just 150. Among them are private owners and also factory teams from the likes of Audi and Toyota. A team from Volkswagen is entering the race with this T1B bus. The course hasn't been closed for the rally, and the classic cars have to share the road with their more modern counterparts. So it's not unusual for a modern car to become sandwiched between two classics. Urban Peugeot is taking part in the rally. He says at the start you think it's just about having fun, but soon you forget that and find yourself trying to make good times. The drivers have to pass 19 checkpoints within the allotted period. There are 13 timing points to tell them how they're doing. The event appeals to both old and young enthusiasts. But while the crowds can relax and watch the cars go by, it's anything but relaxing for the driver and co-driver. The rally is the culmination of weeks of preparation, and they have just 3 days to cover the 540-kilometer-long course through Austria's fabulous countryside. This participant is having a great time. He says the day started with a shower, but it only lasted for half an hour. Then the sun came out. The scenery was incredible, and he has fond memories of it all. He had a great day. What can be better than putting the roof down, feeling the wind in your hair, and the sun on your face? Well, as long as you have a convertible. But the Silveretta Classic has something for everyone. This participant says there were lots of very different cars there. Another says the navigator gets the blame if anything goes wrong. Urban Peugeot enjoyed the view and the landscape. He says it was like a dream. Crowds have gathered to catch a last glimpse of the classics as they cross the finishing line. Each and every entrant is given a warm welcome, regardless of where they finished. This year, veteran driver Isolde Holderried from Team Toyota topped the timesheets. Her Land Cruiser never let her down, and the 14th Silveretta Classic.